Human beings tend to get so used to things. We fail to see the uniqueness of the spaces that we occupy.
Decker Hall,
Decker Hall,
Gumby,
the Gumby statue,
Hartung Hall,
Hartung Hall,
Hartung.
the old gym,
the old gym,
the Valley,
Valley.
Fair Commons,
Fair Commons,
Ravenshaven,
Ravenshaven,
The Haven,
the Haven,
Miller Chapel,
Miller Chapel.
Passages,
Helios,
Helios,
the Rock,
Pioneer Rock, the Health Clinic,
Kardasky Wellness Center,
KWC, the Wellness Center,
Kardasky Wellness Center,
Bennett Auditorium,
swimming pool,
O.C. Lewis,
O.C. Lewis Gym,
the Eternal Flame,
Reardon Auditorium,
Reardon Auditorium,
Peace Pole, the library,
the library,
the
Nicholson Library.
Harp House, Hardacre Hall,
Hardacre Hall,
Hardiker Hall,
the Gadberry Grocery Store,
Byram Auditorium,
Byram Hall,
Byram Hall,
Happy's Hamburgers, Old Student Center,
Old Student Center,
the Old Broadcasting Center,
Old Main,
Old Main,
Old Main,
the
Main,
Gallery,
School of Theology,
School of Theology Building.
East Campus,
Fall School of Business,
Fine Arts,
Fine Arts Building,
Fine Arts, the Orange Thunderdome,
Dunn Hall,
Dunn Hall,
the Block,
Morrison Hall,
Morrison Hall,
Gospel Trumpet Company,
Myers Hall,
Myers,
the Dance Studio,
Smith Hall,
Smarten,
Martin,
West Campus,
Bryce Hall,
Rice Hall,
Park Place Church,
Park Place Church of God, the Women's Gym,
Warner Auditorium,
Warner Auditorium,
the Whispering Wall,
the campgrounds,
the campgrounds,
the Jenningham Museum,
the Prairie Labyrinth,
Mockholt Stadium,
Mockholt Stadium,
South Campus,
soccer field, Fridley Field,
the old rec hall,
Don Brandon Field,
the bookstore,
Mocha Joe's.
the archives,
the Marketplace,
the Mansfield Apartment, the Barney Warren Cabin,
Old Main.
For people of my college generation, Old Main was the gathering place.
Well, it was the center of everything. Old Main really defined the original Anderson University campus because it was built 11 years prior to the Anderson Bible Training School being founded. It was designed as residential and some office space for the Gospel Trumpet Company. And then as the school began, it became the offices and classrooms and dining facilities and living space for the handful of students and even some faculty and staff. I did not live in Old Main. I did spend a few nights in Old Main, hiding in the closet when room check took place. I have great memories as a kid, again, growing up a block and a half from campus and my dad working here, coming up and playing on campus. I remember one time I was climbing up the outside of Old Main because it had this stone that it wasn't just flat and you could actually climb up to it. And so as a kid, what a great opportunity. I remember going past the second floor window one time and our next door neighbor, who was the registrar at the time, saw me, and I saw her with a panicked look and get on the phone. There were no cell phones, anything back then. And the next thing I knew, she was pounding on the window and she was saying like this, and my mom was marching up the street to come retrieve her juvenile delinquent son. There was also a fire escape out on the outside from the top floor, and then there was a small pond with some koi or whatever the fish were. Mailboxes were very, very important. Students back in those days, you didn't have contact with cell phones and all of that. The mail room was a key part of that building, and every student was acquainted with that part of Old Main. It was a one-stop shopping for the original campus.
Helios.
Helios is probably my favorite place to visit on campus. I am fascinated with the design.
There's something beautiful, there's something calming about the water, the light, the sculpture in the center.
I really appreciate the beauty of it, the significance, and the calming sense of the water.
The fact that you can see the rest of the valley from that fountain area.
The Valley.
One of the distinctives about our physical campus here at Anderson University is what we call the Valley, because it is a valley that goes through the central part of campus.
But it's a unique geological formation in an otherwise flat area.
Before we had cell phones and ability to text each other, you just found people, and you found people by walking through the valley. And so the valley was a meaningful place, I think, for a lot of us.
It's almost like the hallway of our university. Classes let out, and people flood out into the valley.
Valley was always a congregating kind of place.
In the evenings, it's a place where people go for walks and catch up, throw their hammocks out.
The valley is just a gorgeous place.
We took trays out of the cafeteria whenever there was snow on the slope of the valley, and we'd use those as snowboards or sleds.
Sledding in the wintertime down these valley hills.
On a spring day when the flowers have bloomed, it's just a gorgeous place to see. It's just, full of beauty. Even those squirrels chasing after each other.
So many people have found connections. It's been home to so many people in so many different ways.
Pioneer Rock.
The large stone at the corner of 5th and College that marks the spot where the two Byram brothers came and surveyed the land and looked out over it. And according to their own account, they knelt right there and they prayed and felt God telling them, yes, purchase this land.
Whether they knelt on that spot or not, we don't know. But for Dr. Reardon, what was important was that the place be memorialized. So they created Pioneer Rock.
Welcome weekend, you went to the President's Convocation and let out and walked to the rock. So we call it the Walk to the Rock. The idea is to just start your AU journey by touching the rock. We've now incorporated that as a bookend. So after senior chapel, those seniors went and touched the rock kind of as a parting way.
Byram Hall.
One of my favorite places on campus is Byram Auditorium. It might be the most Anderson University building on Anderson University's campus. And what I mean by that is it has done all the stuff.
It started out as a camp meeting tabernacle, and then it became a gymnasium.
Men's basketball team initially played where they would have a tip-off after every basket was scored back in the old days. So it was literally, if you had a tall or a great jumper like Jumpin' Johnny Wilson, you could control a game because you could control the tip after each basket. So it wasn't an automatic change of possession.
Cheap Thrills was in Byram. The air band competition, which I was able to MC, was in Byram.
The fact that that building has been repurposed so many different times, I think is really fun.
We still had classes in Byram. We had plays in Byram. It was used quite a bit.
It says a lot about who we are, and again, layers on layers of history.
Nicholson Library.
I've always found it interesting how they connected the library. So it started out with the Wilson Library, and the seminary had Byrd Library, and then they merged them together and it became Nicholson Library.
The Wilson Library at the time, before it was renamed Nicholson, was a space that a lot of people hung out in.
I spent more time on the 4th floor of Wilson or Nicholson Library than I think I've spent on any other space on this campus. Primarily because that was where the broadcast center was housed back in the 80s.
Several times a semester, I go there to see what has been published. Love spending time in the stacks, in the periodicals.
The steps, I think that was where I proposed to my wife. This is just a place that's in the valley, but yet it's kind of not a major thoroughfare. And so it's just a good place where you just get a good book and kind of take in the valley.